So now we're going to prepare the masala. I'm using 10 Kashmiri dried chilies, 5 cloves of garlic, an inch of ginger. Here I have about 1 tablespoon of tamarind and 1 tablespoon each of coriander, haldi, pepper and cumin powder. Here I have about 1/4 cup of vinegar. Now we're just going to grind all of this using the vinegar to a very fine paste. We're not going to use any water when we're grinding this masala. So once our paste is ready, now we can prepare our ambotik. Now I'm just using 2 medium-sized shark fish or mori fish which have been deep skinned and cleaned and cut into these type of pieces. I'm just applying about 2 tablespoons of salt and we're just going to keep it aside for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we're going to rinse off all the water once it has marinated for about 15 minutes and clean off all the water. Now we're going to eat about 2 tablespoons of oil in a pan. I'm just going to fry some garlic cloves and ginger and some onion. We're going to fry this till the onion turns a little bit translucent. Now once our onion is nice and translucent, which takes about 2 to 3 minutes, we're just going to add this masala paste that we have ground and we're going to fry the masala along with our ginger, garlic and onion. Now this is a super simple and very easy recipe. You can also prepare this paste and just keep it in your refrigerator, and whenever you feel like making ambotik, you can just use it. Then we're just going to add about a cup of water and let the water come to a boil. And then we're going to add our fish and cook it, and we're going to add some salt to taste too. Now we're going to cook this on a low to medium flame till our fish is nice and cooked. It turns from a pinkish color to a white color, and you can also just poke it with a spoon or a fork to just see that it's cooked. So this is our ambotik. It's all ready. Now today I'm also going to share with you a very quick masala fried prawns. It's super simple and super easy. This is such an it can be used as a starter. You can just have it with dal and rice or sorak and rice or ambotik and rice. It just goes well with everything. So it's a super simple recipe and a very quick recipe too. Now here I'm just using about 1 cup of prawns which have been deveined, cleansed and washed very well. It's very important that you devein your prawns because otherwise it could lead to a tummy upset. So that's a very key important factor whenever you're using prawns. Then I'm just going to put about 1 teaspoon of salt and I'm going to mix it very well. We're going to mix all the prawns well with the salt, or you can just add salt to taste. Then I'm also going to add about 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder or haldi powder. We're going to mix everything well, ensuring that all the prawns have been coated well with this haldi powder. And then we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, or to taste. Now we like our food very spicy, so I've gone with 1 teaspoon, but you can always use 1/4 or just a little bit depending upon how much of spiciness you can tolerate. And then we're just going to keep this aside for some time, and then when we're ready to fry, we're just going to dust it with about 2 tablespoons of rice flour. We're going to mix all of them well because we want all of them to be coated very well with the rice flour. Now what the rice flour does is it makes it very nice and crispy, and I've also added about 1 teaspoon of fine semolina or rava. That adds a lovely crispy taste rather to the prawns. Now I've just heated about 2 tablespoons of oil in a frying pan, and we're just going to fry them till they're nice and golden brown on both sides. Now always fry them on a low to medium flame. Never heat up your pan or your oil to a smoky consistency or a smoky, your oil should not be smoking hot. It should be just at the right temperature. And once they're done on one side, you just flip them over and fry them on the other side too. So this is such a simple dish, a very easy dish, and it's really super delicious. You don't have to add a lot of other spices and stuff to this because then the whole flavor of the prawns just go away. recipe. So here I've taken a medium-sized shark fish, which has got cleaned, and I'm just going to immerse it into water and let it come to a boil, and you will see the color change from a pink to a white. And we have to boil this for about 5 to 10 minutes. And then we can just take a fork or a kind of a tong and just check whether the flesh is soft enough. And that means your fish is ready. So now we just have to let it cool completely to room temperature. Then we're just going to take off the bone. There's just one single bone. And then we're just going to mash it up with a fork. Now, I'm just making about 8 croquets. So depending upon the size, how many croquets you want, you can use that amount of fish. So now we're just going to transfer this to a bowl to which we are going to add all our other ingredients. So now to this, after mashing it completely, I'm just going to add about 1 light green chili, which I've chopped finely, along with some shredded ginger, about ½ inch of ginger. Then goes in 1 medium-sized onion chopped finely and some chopped coriander. Then I'm going to add 1 egg. I'm also going to be adding about ½ a teaspoon of haldi powder or turmeric. And then, of course, some salt to taste. Now we're going to mix everything well together. And now just to give it some body, we're going to add some pieces of sliced bread. You can also use pieces of pav. And then we're going to again mix everything very, very well so that everything gets combined together well, and the flavors of the chili and the ginger and everything gets well mixed together. So just with your fingers, just mash up everything well together. And you have to add as much, the bread has to be added just to give enough body so that you can make a croquet, form a croquet. So if you find that your mixture is a little wet, then just add a little more breadcrumbs and you're set. Now I'm just taking some breadcrumbs and I'm just going to make it into a croquet shape, and I'm just going to roll them into these breadcrumbs and then keep them aside to be shallow fried later. Now if you find that your mixture has become too dry, all you got to do is just add a little bit of beaten egg, and that will make it perfect. So you can always make these ahead of time and store them in your refrigerator and just fry them when required. Don't keep your mixture too long in the refrigerator, maybe a day or 2. And now all we have to do is just fry them, shallow fry them till they're nice and golden brown in color. These are simply delicious, and you can use the same recipe to make other fish croquets with bangda or mackerel or even with pomfret, anything which is a little fleshy fish and which you can easily make some croquets with, and then it becomes nice and golden brown in color like this. You can eat them plain with some ketchup, or you can have it with some sorak and rice, dal and rice. And my favorite combination is always ambothik rice, these croquets and a little bit of pickle at the side. So friends, let's start with today's peas and potato bhaji. Now here I have about 4 light green chilies, 10 cloves of garlic, an inch of ginger, a cup of green peas, 3 small potatoes, and 1 teaspoon each of pepper powder and cumin powder, and some salt to taste. So I'm going to start by making a coarse paste by adding the green chilies, the ginger, the garlic, a little bit of salt, my pepper powder, and my cumin powder, and I'm going to grind all of this to a very coarse paste. Now transfer the paste to a separate bowl, and we're going to use the masala water, which is just the water that we're going to clean up the mixer with also. We're going to use that. So now I'm going to peel the boiled potatoes, and I'm going to chop them up into small cubes. Now to boil my potatoes, I put them in my pressure cooker for 1 whistle on high with some water in it, and then I've simmered it for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now I'm going to heat 1 tablespoon of oil in a pan. Once my oil is nice and hot, I'm going to add this coarsely ground paste, and I'm going to fry this paste really well for about 2 to 3 minutes till I get the lovely aroma of the fried paste. So this will give you a lovely aroma of some pepper, some cumin, the green chilies, the ginger and the garlic. Now I'm going to add just about 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric or haldi powder. Mix everything in well. And then I'm going to add the green peas. Now you can use fresh green peas, or you can use the frozen peas, whatever is available. Mix everything well together. Now if you're using the frozen peas, you need to thaw them, or what you can do is just when they're frozen, just put them in a bowl of water and then drain the water after 2-3 minutes. Now I'm going to add the boiled potatoes, which I've made into cubes, and I'm going to mix everything very gently. We don't want to break the potatoes. Now, one trick I like to share with you here is that I always like to, if I'm making this recipe, I always like to boil the potatoes the previous day and refrigerate them. That way they become nice and firm, and it's very easy to chop, and they don't become mushy, they don't disintegrate. So it's always good if you're planning to make any recipe with boiled potatoes to boil the potatoes the previous day and then, refrigerate them and then use them the next day. Now I'm going to add this masala water. And we are going to just mix everything nicely. Now this potato bhaji goes very well with some puris, or even with some chapati or poi, or even some rice and dal. It's an excellent side dish, or as a main vegetable also. It tastes really very different from the normal puri bhaji that we are used to having. Now I'm going to cover and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes on a very low flame. And now we're going to season it with some salt to taste and a pinch of sugar. Now remember, we already added salt when we were grinding the coarse paste. So we go a little bit easy on the salt, or you can give it a taste and see whether you need to add any more salt. And again, we're going to cover and cook this for another 1 or 2 minutes. Because we want everything to really, come together really well, all the spices. And now we're just going to mix everything gently. You might find that the spice base is stuck to the bottom a little bit. Just scrape it off. And that also adds an extra flavor to this dish, a little bit of fried masala. And it comes off very easily. And that's it, friends. Your lovely peas and potato bhaji is all ready to enjoy. Try out this recipe and let me know how you like it. Just take you step by step to see how to prepare bhakris. Now I use a mixture of jowar, bajra and natsani. I store this, get it ground in the mill and, store it in a nice steel dabba. So I'll just show you the mixture. This is how I store it. So I just buy the grains about 1 kg each, get it ground and then mix the 3 flours together. So now I'm making 2 bhakri. So I've taken 2 cups of the bhakri flour, and I'm going to add salt to taste. Then I'm going to mix it together. Now I'm going to just use some hot water. So I just heat the hot water in my microwave and just, add a little at a time and mix it. Now what we're looking for is a very firm, not a soft dough like, when we make puris or chapatis, our dough is very flexible and very soft. So this has a completely different consistency. When you keep on adding a little water at a time, first it feels very, very dry, but as you add the water, you should get a kind of a thick clay kind of consistency. After you have kneaded the dough, it should feel like thick clay. So, if you're just a beginner and you really want to learn how to make bhakris, it is a question of practice. And, don't give up, just keep practicing. Even I started that way, and now I just love eating bhakris, and it's a much healthier option too. So just add a little water at a time. If your water is more, then add a little bit of flour. If you find that it's very, very dry, then keep adding a little hot water. But you have to add hot water and just keep, getting all the flour together like this. It shouldn't be too dry. It shouldn't be too wet. It should just feel like a very firm kind of consistency, like thick, firm clay. Like, how if you're going to make a clay pot, or, if you have in the past, so you know what I'm talking about, the consistency. It should be very, very thick and not a soft dough. Once you get, you're used to bhakris, you just don't want to eat chapatis and puris anymore. It's just so addictive. And I love using these three flours together. It's it's really very, very tasty. So now, just knead the dough. That's the main part of it. And now my dough is ready. So I've kept my pan or my tawa to heat up on a low to medium flame. Now I'm going to divide the dough into 2 equal halves. And I'm just going to press it down like this. Okay. So you can see the consistency. It's a kind of very, very firm, very, very thick. So now I've taken my rolling board. I'm just going to apply a little bit of that bhakri powder, on the board, because it makes it easier for us to roll the bhakri. So just coat the dough with a little bit of flour. And now just start, thinning out the edges with your fingers like this. And now, because you've got flour on the base of your, on the below the bhakri or on the rolling board, it becomes very easy to just turn it like this. So just keep turning it with your fingers like this, the tips of your fingers. See that the edges don't tear up. If they do, just join them together like that. And just thin it out as much as you can with your hands like this. Now just for a smoother finish, I'm just going to use my rolling pin, but be very, very gentle. See that it doesn't break. Keep lifting it up a little bit so that you know that it doesn't stick. It hasn't stuck to the, the rolling board. And always join the edges together. So every time the edges break like this, just connect them together and press them down. So now I'm going to use my ulatner or this flat spatula just to loosen up the bhakri from the rolling pin, so it's easier for me to lift it up and put it onto my tawa or pan. Now the pan is nice and hot, so I'm going to increase the flame to medium, and then I'm going to gently lift the bhakri and put it onto the pan. Now I'm going to use some water. You can use the same hot water that you used and just brush it. You can use your hands too, but I'm more comfortable with using this brush. So just brush some water onto the top of the bhakri like this. Not too much water, not too less. Also just brush it gently. And now we're going to wait for the water to completely dry up on top of the bhakri. So my flame is between low to medium. Now I'm going to show you this, in actual time. I'm not going to fast forward the first bhakri because if you're just a learner and a beginner, this will be really helpful. Now you will see that the water on the surface has completely dried up. So I'm going to just turn the bhakri. It will look like this, like you'll have these little brownish or blackish kind of patches everywhere. Now we're going to cook the other side also really, really well. Now try to use a tawa like this. This is my Hawkins Futura brand. I'll leave a link. It's in my Amazon storefront. Or just go into the pots and pans section of my Amazon storefront. You'll find this tawa over there. You'll find my dosa tawa that I use for most of my recipes. Like I recently put up ragda patties. So many people are asking me about the tawa. It's all there in my Amazon storefront. Just go to the pots and pans section. And this tawa, it's really nice to use to make chapatis, puris, ghavan. Okay, now I've turned it over and now I'm just going to put it directly using a pair of tongs onto the flame, and you can see how it's nicely fluffing up a bit. It doesn't have to completely fluff up like a fulka, but it'll fluff up a bit. So just roast it really, really well, and then just take it out onto your plate and just drizzle some lovely ghee or toop or clarified butter. And that's it, friends. This amazing, healthy, delicious kind of, hand bread is ready. And you can enjoy this with so many recipes like pickle, zunka, or even some chicken sukha. The list is endless. But do give it a try. And I'll show you one more in a faster mode. So I hope you all do give this recipe a try. And let me know in the comments section how your bhakris turned out. At first, you might not really get it right. I didn't. I used to get like rock hard bhakris when I just started, but I didn't give up and I kept making it every day. And with practice, I can make much, much better bhakris than I could before. And it's a much healthier option. I love eating them, and I just feel it's much. I feel much more lighter eating these bhakris rather than eating rice or chapatis and puris. I mean, it's my personal choice, but I really do like it. So give this a try, guys. So friends, let's start with today's light, refreshing coconut pudding. Now here I've taken 1.5 cup of fresh grated coconut, and I'm going to put this into my mixer jar. Now, one tip would be to use fresh coconut, not the one which is stored in the refrigerator. It just makes a difference with the taste. And 1/2 cup of warm water. And you're going to grind this to a nice smooth paste. And then you're just going to sift it or sieve it and press it down, gently, so that you get all the coconut milk out. Now we're looking for the thick coconut milk like this. So just keep squeezing out all of the coconut milk, and you'll get this dry kind of leftover coconut. Now this comes to 1.5 cup of coconut milk. So if you want to use the ready-made coconut milk powder, you should use 1.5 cup. Now here I have 2 tablespoons of rice flour. I'm just going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the coconut milk to the rice flour, and just keep it aside for a minute. And I'm also going to be using 2 tablespoons of corn flour. So I'm going to be adding about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the coconut milk also. And we're going to stir this and make a nice slurry out of it. We're doing this because we don't want any lumps in our mixture. So I've added about 3 to 4 tablespoons just till you get a nice thin, smooth mixture. And once you get a nice thin smooth mixture, you can also use a whisk to ensure there are no lumps. Just add it back to the coconut milk. Do the same with the rice flour. Now we're not going to be using any gelatin or anything. So we're going to be just thickening this coconut milk with our rice flour and corn flour. Now just mix everything nicely, see that there are no lumps, and now we're going to put it on a low to medium flame. Keep stirring. Now we're going to add about 1/4 cup of sugar. You can adjust the sugar, the sweetness according to your taste. You can add more or you can add less. And now just keep stirring this for exactly 5 minutes on a low to medium flame, and you will see that it instantly starts to thicken. And now turn the flame off, and with the residue heat, keep stirring it. Now I'm using these silicone cupcake holders, but you can use any, even glass bowl, or, any mold that you have at home. And you're just going to pour this into all of these molds. And you're now going to just refrigerate this for exactly 30 minutes. This will set after 30 minutes. So you don't need to put it in the deep freeze, just put it in a regular refrigerator for exactly 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes of waiting patiently, you'll see that it has nicely set. Now these silicone molds, if you have them, use them because they're really easy to demold. Like you will see, I'm doing it now. So now that these have set completely after 30 minutes, I'm just going to use small plates, and you'll see how easily the silicone mold comes out. Just lift it like this, and it's nice and clean and nothing is there on it, and it's nice and wobbly, and I can't wait to dig into this lovely coconut pudding. It reminds me of my childhood days when my nana used to make this for us in Goa. Of course, she used to use, soak the rice and then grind the rice flour and then add it. But this is a instant and quicker way of making it. And I'm just going to decorate it with some sliced almonds, since I had some almonds at home, but you can put pistachios, you can put chopped cashew nuts, the choice is yours. I say that you must try this recipe during the summer because it's so light and so refreshing, and you must have this chilled. So you can see that it is set so quickly, and it is really refreshing and light and delicious. So for those of you who love coconut, this is an easy way of making some lovely coconut dessert, and just slice into it and enjoy it. So and thank you, and I'll catch you in my next video sooner than you think. This is Akshita signing off. Take care, guys. Bye.